This is my dad, Jack Coughlin, and he's going to tell you a little bit about our family and answer the questions. The first question was, where did our family come from?
Well, my grandparents, all four of my grandparents came from Ireland. My paternal grandparents came from Central Ireland, not far from Athlone, outside the town of Moat. My maternal grandparents, my grandfather came from Rylane, Cork, and his wife, my grandmother, came from Coonaclair, County Clare. And I have a lot of knowledge of my father's family, but not my mother's, just some of my mother's. And they all arrived by boat in the late 1890s or the early 1901, 1902. I do have the manifest that my grandfather, and my grandmother's brother arrived on. I forget the name of the ship. And they were both successful families. Through hard work and politics, most of them were able to, my father, his brothers and sisters, and my aunts on my grandmother's side, my mother's side of the family, most of them became college graduates, and that was pretty good for the first generation. They did better than the second generation. And, there's an interesting story. I had a first cousin, Father Carmody, tells the story of the Cronins, who came from Rylane in County Cork. Cronin is a common Irish name, but in the old Gaelic language it means brown. So necessarily your name would be Mr. Brown rather than Mr. Cronin. Mm-hmm. And he was able to search the antecedents of that name back. Now, I don't know how it was done. I heard the story years ago. The antecedents of that name, Cronin, back to the house that time. This is the prehistoric time when the first cells started arising along the Danube. The Danube was named for Dana, the chief Celtic goddess of the time. And I'm not sure, I forget the name of the tribe or the clan that the Cronins came from. But at the time of Caesar, they had moved from the area of the Danube Valley over to southeast France. And it's thought that they then moved along northern Spain and then up into southern Ireland. So it's sort of interesting. So that brings that particular name, Cronin, back almost 3,000 years.
Wow.
And,
so, when your family came here, what kind of jobs did they have?
my grandfather on my father's side went to work for a company called Raymond Concrete Pile. They did a tremendous amount of building on the East Coast, the docks for the Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mary, and he pretty much stayed working as a supervisor for that company most of his life. So he was able to provide a good living and send his one son to medical school, the other son to Fordham. They all went to Catholic universities, incidentally, Fordham University. And my aunts went to business colleges or to music school. And on my mother's side of the family, what they did essentially was help build the Jersey City Mayor Hayes machine. They were political people. My Aunt Frances, an older sister of my mother, was probably one of the most powerful women in Jersey City over the years. She was a childhood friend of Frank Hague. So, and to have been a friend of Frank Hague in childhood, you had a leg up. And so they took over the politics of New Jersey. And so it was through my grandfather was a tremendously good carpenter, and I don't know where he learned to be a carpenter because he was a farmer in Ireland. But he worked on some of the biggest docks and bridges, and my brother did too. My brother was a dock building supervisor on the Verrazano Bridge. I don't want to tell you what he called it, but he called it the Guinea Gangplank. But anyhow, we had a really, really interesting life. My family was an interesting family. And I'm always regaling my daughters with stories about them. But she seems to like it, so I keep it.
And are we on the third question? Or fourth question?
I think we ran them together or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And did you already talk about your antidote?
Well, the antidote was the name.
The name, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I assume Timothy Carmody was an honest man because he was a Catholic priest, and that's the story he told. And he did get over to Ireland quite a few times, and he knew the Cronin family in Ireland probably better than anybody.
What would you say is the biggest strength of your family?
Well, they were stick together people. I mean, they were all expected to help the one coming. The one that was going to school had to be helped by all the others. I mean, everybody chipped in. It was and the church, of course, the Catholic Church, and I don't know, big families. They had a tough time back in the day, but they did well.
Okay, well, I think this concludes our tape, and this is our story. John Coughlin.
Thank you.